Chapter 31. Why are you eating this junk food? Nathan grinned as he glanced at her, but he knew that he would break out in a rash if he touched her. This was why he never felt the need to touch her when he saw her. But precisely at this point, he still felt uncomfortable all over, as if he was about to break out in a rash momentarily. His brow furrowed as he glanced towards her. Did you do something to the room? Why do I feel a little uncomfortable? Emily halted before saying, I sprayed a touch of perfume here. Nathan sighed and glanced at her. Emily, you could have told me directly that you wanted me to come and see you, but how can you declare that you've fallen ill? Nathan asked in a calm manner because he had known from the time he entered that she was fake illness. Emily was surprised, never expecting him to see through her plans. Currently, she was still biting her lip as she said, I just thought that you didn't want to come and see me, so I... Nathan lowered his head only to see that he had indeed broken out in a rash. When Emily observed that Nathan was staring around the room with a slight grimace of disdain obvious on his face, she swiftly said, Let's go out and sit instead. Luckily, she had picked a very stunning nightgown. She got up and adjusted herself well. Nathan glanced down her body, thinking her garments exceedingly skimpy, but he made no comment and kept the opinion to himself. He smiled at her and walked out. Nathan realized that Emily looked extremely nice dressed that way. However, perhaps because he knew that he would break out in a rash upon touching her, he still felt no attraction at all despite her being so attractive. Seeing as Nathan did not even look at her, Emily felt slightly disappointed for a second. However, she got used to it gradually and believed to herself that this was just the way he was anyway. Ever since he fell unwell, he could not feel aroused from girls. He had no interest in her, and he would have no interest in Lisa either. She said to Nathan, Eat something with me before you go back. Nathan said, Okay, I didn't eat anything before coming over either. Upon hearing that Nathan was so anxious when he heard she was ill, Emily smiled genuinely. All right, I'll get someone to make some steak. You must repay me at home. Here with my candlelight dinner. However, the maid came over and said, Miss, the power at home has been cut. There's no way to cook anything. Emily yelled fiercely, How can this be? Make a call and ask about this. Settle this for me immediately. The maid added in a troubled tone, Miss, this half of the city has no power. They said that it got severed when maintenance procedures were being done on the circuit. They're still racing to solve it. Emily was insufferably angry. How could such a dreadful thing happen? It was so rare for Nathan to come. They could have had supper together, sipped some wine, and if he felt too exhausted, he could have stayed overnight. When Emily thought about how he had a wife living in that house with him, she simply felt uncomfortable, letting him go home now. Nathan said, Forget it, Emily. Don't disturb them. He had really not eaten and was famished. After considering for some time, he said to the maid without further ado, If there's a solid fuel stove, just buy some cup noodles for us to eat. Upon hearing this, the maid looked with wider eyes for quite some time. Emily did the same. Surprised, she said, You want to eat cup noodles? Nathan said, Yes, Emily. If you have cup noodles once in a while, it still tastes really good. Thereafter, he remarked firmly to the maid, Just go purchase some cup noodles for us. Not daring to neglect his directions, the maid hurried off. Emily gazed at Nathan with concern. Why did you suddenly think of eating this? Nathan remarked, It's really quite nice. Try eating it and you'll know. Of course, Emily did not want to eat it. How could individuals of their status casually eat that kind of junk food? However, it was impossible for her to deny since Nathan had advised it. Soon she saw the maid return with cup noodles. The maid brought it to the kitchen to prepare it, and shortly its perfume floated out. It was extraordinarily fragrant and even disguised the aroma of the costly perfume on her body. It made her feel even more horrified. Frowning, she glanced on as the cup noodles were served. Although everything was decorated and plated properly, glancing at it still made her feel awful. Looking at it, Nathan realized that it looked fairly similar to what Lisa had made the other day. In an instant, it built up his appetite. He sat down and softly began eating. Upon seeing him actually consume it with such enthusiasm, Emily was terrified. When she herself looked at it, she still found it difficult to swallow. With their rank, it was not suitable for them to have cup noodles. It could not compare to pasta. After devouring half the plate, Nathan noted that Emily had managed to take only 2 mouthfuls. He raised his head and whispered, "Why? Is it not good?" Emily could not hide the disdainful look on her face. "Nathan, this is junk food. You shouldn't eat it either. It's not good for your body. And it's so dirty too." Nathan's hunger abruptly gone because of her statements. He stared at Emily. Even though he recognized that she was talking to the cup noodles, he genuinely felt as if she was calling Lisa ugly. Unknowingly, he had connected cup noodles with Lisa. He felt slightly unhappy but did not show it. He recognized that he could not force Emily to enjoy what she did not like. However, he was a little disappointed. He did not expect her to dislike it. So he basically responded, "Don't eat it if you don't like it. I recognize that this isn't too healthy." He could understand. After all, Emily was like him. From a young age, both of them had gained a fantastic and refined education. It was a given that they would not be used to stuff like cup noodles. Seeing that Emily was well, he rose up and declared, "I'm full. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first." Lisa was still in the hospital. It was acceptable for him to go short throughout the day, but at night she simply moved too much in her sleep. He could not feel at peace letting someone else watch over her. In the instance that she tore open her wound, the scar would merely become larger. That would be too ugly for a girl. Furthermore, her skin was really lovely. It was softer and whiter than snow. He could not bear for it to have a single imperfection. "Are you that busy?" Emily was slightly reluctant to part with him as she glanced wistfully at James. As James glanced at her sorrowful expression, he felt a stab of reluctance. But as he thought of Lisa, he steeled his heart on his choice to return. "Emily, I'll keep you company again when I'm no longer busy." Seeing that he was so persuaded, Emily could only purse her lips and walk him out. She also knew that it was likely impossible to change his mind once he had settled on something. After James gone, Emily turned back to gaze at the 2 bowls of noodles. She exclaimed loudly to the maid, "Who bought these cup noodles? Throw all of them out. Buying such horrible goods and bringing them home. It smells awful. Clean up the room thoroughly. I don't want to smell even a bit of this odor." With nothing to do in the hospital, Lisa surfed through the television channels and watched the entertainment news. She observed Nathan's interview, during which he indicated that filming for the play was still underway. Because of her injuries, she had taken a few days off. Unexpectedly, the production staff had immediately allowed her time off and did not disturb her at all. She saw that filming for the series was still progressing like wildfire. She felt pretty frightened as well and wanted to soon get back to assist in the filming. After all, this was a crucial chance for her. Hence, she had no plan to just give it up. As Lisa thought over the topic, James returned and found her watching the television. Walking in, he inquired, "Have you eaten dinner?" Lisa replied with a "oh." Seeing as he appeared revitalized, she felt that he must have returned after visiting Emily. However, she did not mention this up. "I've eaten. I've taken my medicines too." "That's good. The doctor said that I can be discharged tomorrow and rest at home," she claimed. James frowned. "Really? I think you should still stay under their observation for a few days." The doctor had indicated so too, but Lisa wanted to go back to filming immediately. She could only be Mrs. James for a few years. Sooner or later, they would divorce. Hence, she had to be ready to hold her own. Chapter 32. "Seriously, you do so many unnecessary things," Lisa said. "It doesn't matter. This is simply a little injury." James's face darkened. "You almost died." "It isn't a little injury," Lisa said nonchalantly. "I almost died because I hurt a major artery. The threat of death was only temporary. Now that the artery has been repaired, everything else is fine. There aren't any major organs in the thigh anyway." James's stare fixed on her, but after a long moment, he eventually said in a disappointed tone, "Do whatever you want. Your body is yours anyway." When he finished speaking, James turned and departed. Lisa blinked a few times. confident that nothing was amiss. She laid down and continued watching television. The next day, Lisa was discharged and permitted to return home. She sat in a wheelchair, which she found interesting since it was her first time sitting in such a contraption. James was going to carry her into the automobile. But when Lisa understood that he was preparing to carry her, she yelled frantically, "Hey, don't move, don't move! Let me take a photo." While saying this, she raised her arm and shifted her stance. She took a snapshot of her wheelchair, which automatically included her hospital robe. In front of her, James scowled. "Why are you taking a picture?" Lisa raised her head, shook it, and continued. "You don't understand. Since I got hospitalized, I must try to be pathetic and attract some sympathy." James felt it weird. What sympathy was there to gain from such a thing? Lisa repeated the technique a few times. However, she felt that something was not right. After pondering for a minute, she asked the butler in front to step aside. "Your car is such a good prop. Why don't I utilize it?" James's pupils flashed darkly. Perplexed, he observed as she shifted her posture. She shot a photo of her wheelchair with the Porsche in the background. While operating the camera program on her phone, she added, "If I take the photo like this, it wouldn't seem too intentional, but it won't prevent other people from seeing it either." "Hey, James, you probably don't comprehend. It appears like I'm trying to solicit pity, but I'm actually showing off to everyone because I have a Porsche. Do you understand?" James sat there speechlessly while looking at this vain woman. She added another filter to the photo again, making the photo look unusually high quality, as if it had been produced on photographic film. Thereafter, she shared it on Weibo, feeling satisfied. He saw that what she had written on Weibo was this: "Finally discharged. These few days in the hospital have really been intolerable. I'm grateful for the aid of the medical team." It was joined below by the photo of her lower body seated in the wheelchair and the very obvious Porsche behind her. James shook his head. She really had nothing better to do. "Why did you post this?" he said. Lisa raised her head. "To show off. To the people on Weibo. Oh right, I'll share it on WeChat Moments too." Only after sharing it with her buddies did she allow James carry her into the car. She remained staring at her Weibo and her WeChat Moments till the car motor started. Very quickly after, she saw comments popping up on her Moments post. "Why are you sitting in a wheelchair? Did you get wounded during filming?" "You poor thing, rest well," Lisa said to James. "These people are all fools. How could they miss my car? Look at this individual instead." He observed it. Indeed, there was a comment below stating, "Ayo, have you found a sugar daddy? Isn't that a Porsche?" Lisa laughed out loud, feeling extremely proud. "You see that?" James's face became black. Lisa answered, "Ah yeah, do you think that after seeing me suddenly show off like this, they'll really think that I'm a kept woman?" James's face darkened even more. He was not an old man. Pinching her chin, Lisa puzzled over this for a long time before saying, "But doesn't that mean my family can see it too since Sarah is on my friends list?" Sure enough, it did not take long for Sarah to make a comment. "Is that a Porsche? Lisa, what exactly are you up to?" Lisa snorted and ignored her. Proudly, she said, "I don't know if she can tell that this Porsche cost tens of millions. Compared to her modest BMW, one is heaven and the other is dirt." Lisa scanned her Weibo again, but not many people wrote comments there. James said, "You find doing something like this interesting?" Lisa said, "Of course. In the past, yours truly could just see others' posture, but today I can finally do the same." James said, "What is there to posture? From what I know, your family shouldn't be too impoverished. You should have seen a lot of this," Lisa said. "But those things are not mine. My father is incredibly stingy to me. In the past, he always sent Sarah and the rest to school in a gigantic Benz, but I went to school with the housekeeper's scooter." James scowled and gazed on as she browsed her Weibo indifferently. "A lot of people look at this?" he asked. Lisa shook her head. "No. I may have been verified and I may be an actor, but I'm not renowned. I barely have 2,000 admirers following me. Hehe. But one day I will absolutely make it so that I have 1 million, 2 million, even tens of millions. of admirers. I want to get tens of thousands of comments when I post on Weibo just like Emily. Looking at her speak so grandiosely, James shook his head. In that case, I'll congratulate you beforehand on your success. I'll definitely succeed. Saying this, she lifted her fists resolutely. Upon viewing this, James could not help but smile. He shook his head and looked ahead. After returning home, Lisa felt much more comfortable. Back at the hospital, all she saw was the apparatus. In her ward, and in reality, it dampened her spirits. Especially when she thought about how much it cost per day for her to stay in the VIP ward, she felt even more uncomfortable. Seeing that she actually looked great, James focused on his work the next day. When Lisa discovered that James had left, she insisted on coming to the filming site. Butler Ethan wanted to stop her, but Lisa reacted immediately. No way. How many days has it been? If I continue to be absent, the production crew won't want me anymore. Without a choice, Butler Ethan could only discreetly offer instructions to care after her more closely. Lisa arrived at the filming venue and even sat in her wheelchair all the way there. The film location was vibrant, and the production team was not troubled at all by her absence. But when they saw her arriving in a wheelchair all of a sudden, someone walked over to her and questioned in a concerned tone, "What happened? I saw your Weibo post. You even got hospitalized?" But Lisa said simply, "There was a car accident. Luckily, only my leg got harmed and nothing else was affected." Everyone offered a few words of consolation and recommended her to focus on obtaining rest. "You're sitting in a wheelchair. You shouldn't have come." Lisa said, "No way. Like Manor, I can still film some moments of my upper body or of me sitting down. If I can film some sequences, I'll film them. Otherwise, the production staff may not be able to keep to schedule." Hearing this, the assistant director grinned and answered, "All right, you're really professional. In such case, I'll have a chat with the director and allow you participation in the filming." Lisa thanked him. The minute she finished, she heard a low voice from behind her. "You have a Weibo account? How come we never mutually followed each other?" It was Nathan. She did not know when he had come up behind her. Shocked, Lisa turned at Nathan and responded, "I followed you. It's merely that you didn't follow me. He had so many fans. How could he have spotted her?" Nathan asked for her handle. "I'll follow you." Lisa gazed at him with wonder. Really? Nathan was a person who seldom followed anyone. There were just roughly 20-something folks in the list of those he followed. Lisa instantly gave him her handle. He hunted for it and followed her without hesitation. Chapter 33. She was on the news. For the first time. Following this, Lisa noticed that she and the renowned star Nathan were now mutually following one another on her Weibo page. She immediately felt a sense of exhilaration. When she looked into Nathan's Weibo page, she noticed that his fan count was at 20 million. Even if he randomly uploaded a punctuation symbol, he would get tens of thousands of answers. Indeed, he was an S-list star, and when she returned to her personal Weibo page, she got a notification. In an instant, thousands of people had followed her Weibo page. With one look, she recognized that those were the ones who had trickled over after seeing that Nathan had abruptly followed her. After following her, they even made comments on her Weibo page saying things like, "Are you an actress currently? Working with our Nathan? Please help look after our Nathan more. Our Nathan has a weak stomach. You must watch him eat." At last, Lisa knew what a tremendous idol was. Lisa said, "Wow, I benefited so much by engaging with him. In such a short time, I nearly hit 10,000 fans." Nathan patted his chest firmly. "Yeah. Now, you see the advantages of hanging out with me. In the future, pay better attention to me." Of course. I've always paid a lot of attention to you." Nathan glanced at her. "That's enough. Do you know what I ate this morning? What time did I go to the washroom in the afternoon? What car did I drive here?" Lisa honestly could not answer. "How can I possibly know these? You're putting me in a poor situation." On purpose. Nathan lifted his head to indicate at the production people not far away from them. "Pick any person randomly and ask them now. All of them know." Lisa's cheeks flushed with humiliation. That was really too evil. Nathan reached out a hand and caressed her head. From now on, pay more attention, you hear me? I'll let you off once today on account of your injury. Yes. Big celebrity Nathan. Lisa thought that males from the James family were all similarly tough to cope with. Very shortly after, Lisa finished filming the scenes that she could film. By that time, it was already deep into the night. When Lisa bade everyone farewell and left, she observed Olivia leave at that time also. Olivia had taken note of Lisa and even acted like she was about to approach her. But before she could do that, she observed James already walking close beside Lisa's wheelchair. Olivia froze as she watched James strike up a talk with Lisa. Her face grew hazy soon as she turned around and marched away angrily. As Lisa glanced at Nathan, who was following her again, she could not see that everyone was gazing at them curiously the second Nathan walked over. Nathan bent his head and glanced at her wheelchair. You're going back? Yes, I'll take you back. Ah, no need. It's on the way. Let's go. As he said this, Nathan did not wait for Lisa's reaction at all. He simply lifted his head and ordered someone to grab the automobile. It was only when they were riding in the car that he asked Lisa, "Where do you live?" Lisa gazed at him speechlessly. You don't even know where my house is, but you said it was on the way? Nathan froze. This Lisa. There were times when she was not that dumb. Which is why I said when you pay attention to someone, it will still be on the way even if she lives at the ends of the earth. This is what I call paying attention to someone. Do you understand? As he stated this, he patted her head again. Quick, tell me, where do you live? Left with little choice, Lisa could only divulge him her address. When Nathan heard it, he commented in a perplexed tone, I didn't expect you to live in such an exclusive area. Cars are not allowed to drive in there. Lisa said, just drop me off at the entrance. I'll hire someone to force me in. Nathan said, all right, I know someone who lives there, so it's not convenient for me to go in. You can go in by yourself. The automobile came at the entryway rather rapidly. He personally pulled her out of the car and directed her to the entrance before leaving. Lisa's disappointment showed slightly as she waved to him before rushing in hurriedly. James had still not returned home. The family doctor had previously changed her medicine and suggested that her wound was recovering swiftly because she was young. Just when Lisa, who was sat on a couch, was feeling happy with what he said, she heard her cell phone call. Emily was phoning. Lisa promptly received the call and replied, Sister Emily, what's up? Emily said, Hey Lisa, are you dating Nathan? What? Lisa literally felt like she had heard some fantastic story. How's that possible? No way. Emily said, some breaking news was just reported that stated that you and Nathan were discovered to be dating. What exactly is happening? Lisa could not promptly think of a reply either. After putting down the phone, she instantly looked at the news on her phone. Sure enough, she discovered that she had gone on the news. There were photographs of the two of them speaking together and of him sending her home. According to the writer, Lisa was a rookie on the squad, and Nathan had always treated her pretty gently. This was right, but everything else followed was total garbage. The story said that she and Nathan mutually followed each other on Weibo, and it appeared like they communicated incredibly frequently as Nathan never followed someone carelessly. Among the actors in the entire production team, he followed no one but her. He didn't even follow Sarah, who was playing his love interest. Furthermore, on many instances, the reporter captured photographs of the two of them interacting on the set and even of Nathan sending Lisa home. Upon watching the report announce these facts with total clarity, she was surprised. These reporters were too clever at conjuring up a tale from photos. With merely a few images, kids were capable of thinking up so many things to add in their reports. Although she also recognized that writing a report about Nathan would bring in money, this was too irresponsible of them. Lisa hurriedly walked to the company. The second she wheeled her wheelchair in, she noticed Emily come out from within. This time, you're going to become famous. Earlier, many reporters came to ask about you. Lisa gave a grumpy look. Is that so? I simply observed people condemning me mercilessly on Weibo. Many followers had flocked to her Weibo page screaming and yelling. In one night, her Weibo fan count had indeed grown by a large amount, but they were all naysayers. Below a recent Posts that she had placed on Weibo, tens of thousands of people left comments denouncing her. They all stated that she was using Nathan to build excitement. But what made Lisa gloomy was the fact that from the beginning, she had been the passive party. Emily glanced at Lisa and inspected her for a long time before replying, "If you're really dating Nathan, you can tell us too. The firm doesn't limit you from dating either." Lisa instantly started begging. "Sister Emily, just let me off. I'm actually not dating him. We are indeed on fairly good terms, although we usually converse about the drama. He did send me home, but only because he recognized that my leg was not in a good condition tonight. We followed each other mutually on Weibo earlier today just because he coincidentally observed me blogging on Weibo. He felt like he was being unfriendly by not following, so he followed me." After hearing this, Emily felt that there was actually nothing unbelievable about her words, but after contemplating for a moment, she glanced at Lisa and questioned, "Then, is this Nathan wooing you?" "What?" Lisa was stunned. "Sister Emily, please don't joke around with me. That's impossible." Emily's gaze flew around. She said to Lisa, "You do know that Nathan is very seldom on good terms with people in the same production team, much less with a woman, right?" Lisa was speechless. Chapter 34. "Didn't we agree that you wouldn't get angry?" Emily said. "All right then. In any event, the situation has already turned out this way. The company will think of a solution to help you deal with it, but you must be more careful too. Go out less for the time being." Lisa grumbled and said, "I was doing fine, but something like this had to happen." Emily grinned and added, "A scandal with Nathan. Other people want it so hard but can't obtain it. Right now you're already someone who can make the news. You've gotten famous before your works have. How great is that?" "Sister Emily, you say that because you haven't seen how those people are cursing me." She took out the comments. On her Facebook? After seeing her selfies, those people did not mince their views. They noted that she was exceedingly unattractive and completely awful. They said that with one look, they could tell that she had substantial plastic surgery and that she was not good enough for their Nathan. She was so outraged that she may practically die from anger. Sister Emily said, "This might be sensationalism created by the production team of your television series. After filming for the series starts, wave after wave of promotions will begin first in order to create momentum in the future. It might be something they purposefully made. It's highly probable this is one of them." Lisa was surprised as she yelled with rage, "In that case, they should have told me in advance." Sister Emily said, "Of course they wouldn't tell you, and even if you go and ask them, they won't confess it either. The connection between the production team and our firm is definitely a mutually beneficial one. Why would they address any moral consequences with you? What if they told you, but you refused to cooperate? Then, what would they do? All right, we'll leave it at that for now. Go back and have some rest first. It should be fine as long as you don't roam around outside." After hearing this, Lisa could only agree. She was mentally prepared to come home, go with the flow, and await the company's preparations. After she returned home, Lisa was so exhausted that she did not want to move further after going into bed. Because she had not gone to work for so many days, she lost her edge altogether when she started becoming busy like this. When James arrived home, he saw Lisa splayed out on the bed when he entered the room. "Lisa, why did you run off to shoot the series? You haven't totally recovered." "No?" Upon getting home, James got Richard's report, which included the madam's insistence on departing to shoot. He had no alternative but to assign numerous personnel to follow her secretly just in case. However, they were simply servants and could not stop her. Afterward, James raced immediately to the room to check for her, only to see her laying on the bed, stretched out on her back. One side of her underpants was revealed. It was pink with a floral border made from lace. James's throat bobbed. He glanced at her while frowning. "Hey, can you be a little more careful when you lie down?" Lisa replied indolently. "Why must I be more careful? If I have to care about my look even in my own home, life would be terribly tiring." James peered around the room. He lifted up the blanket from one side and laid it on her body promptly, covering up her exposed skin. Lisa wriggled her waist. What are you doing? It's terribly hot. James shifted his head away. Even if you want to seduce me, you should at least change into an underwear that can do the job. Lisa blanked out. She bent her head to have a look. She was wearing a homely pair of casual shorts that were on the loose side. Underneath it was her underwear, which was presently visible. With a little blush on her face, she immediately pulled her pants up. She lifted her head and replied, "What? It's not like you haven't seen it before anyway." James smiled. He approached slightly closer and stared at Lisa's clean, small face. Her white skin was tinged with red. So you mean that since I've seen it, I can see it whenever I want to in the future? Of course, that's not what I mean. Lisa stuttered and hurriedly took a step back. James smiled even broader. Seeing her thus way, he could not help but take another peek at her again. He just walked out when he observed the butler standing at the door as if he had something to tell him. Outside, Ryan was currently waiting at the entrance of the study room. James walked over in a few steps. Is something up? Ryan wore a troubled expression. He walked forward with caution, nervously glancing at James's generally tranquil face. Sir, Madam has been involved in a scandal outside. James's gaze wavered. He stared at Ryan. What scandal? As he said this, he had already taken the newspaper piece to read. The newspaper reported Nathan's supposed romance, which wrote about a truly beautiful story about the love between him and Lisa, a new actor in the same cast as him. James did not normally pay attention to any entertainment news, therefore it was just now that he was witnessing this. However, the report was about Nathan and his wife. Ryan stated, Nathan and Madam are together filming a fantasy television series that the company is investing in. That's presumably how they got to know each other. James bent his head and said, Put down the article. You can go. Ryan hurriedly retreated and left. After Lisa had taken a rest, she reclined on the couch in the living room while watching television. She flipped the television and coincidentally saw the news about her and Nathan. According to the press, Nathan was gaining tremendous attention this time for filming this fantasy television series. But to everyone's shock, there were no sparks between him and the lead actress Emily. Instead, there were speculations connecting him and a new actress. However, the reporters had yet to receive an official comment from Nathan's group, so they were still unclear on the legitimacy of the reports for the time being. Lisa rubbed her forehead. What did they mean? Was it degrading to be embroiled in a controversy with her? Angrily, she switched channels immediately, but then she heard a deep and mournful voice from behind her. Why did you change the channel after seeing me approach? James was standing upright behind her. He gazed at Lisa and walked over in a few steps. Lisa said frantically, Ah, you saw this? James's countenance grew melancholy as he gazed at Lisa attentively and sat down in a casual manner. He stretched open the newspaper and stroked his attention across it. Yes, do you have anything to say? Lisa rushed to explain. I didn't do this on purpose. I don't know whose reporter concocted this nonsense. You know it's impossible if you just think. In truth, I've only known Nathan for a short time. We're both quite inexperienced with one another. James glanced at her. It's just a rumor? His stare was mysterious, yet when Lisa glanced at him, she still nodded rapidly. Secretly, she thought that James was surely unhappy. Everything else aside, her getting engaged in a controversy with Nathan. It would be rare if he was delighted. Sorry, James. I didn't do it on purpose. I know that we're already married. Even though it's a contractual marriage, we agreed that we'll be responsible toward one another. Things impossible to make sure that your family won't overthink things if they see this. I'm afraid you have to provide them some explanation. That this is only a sensationalism manufactured by the production team. It has nothing to do with us. We don't even know how word got out. James's expression seemed to deepen. His intriguing eyes blocked any expression from showing and made them look even more searing. The soon she noticed this, Lisa raced to respond. All right. I'll go explain. I stirred up this trouble, thus I'll be answerable for explaining to your family. I won't give you any inconvenience. I didn't do it purposely either. Next time, I will definitely be more attentive. I'll try my best. Not to give you any trouble. My organization is already managing this situation, and I believe Nathan's side doesn't appreciate scandals too, so they will surely deal with this subject responsibly to the best of their abilities. You don't have to worry. Soon, no one will bring up this topic again. I'm not angry. Isn't this simply how the entertainment industry is? James rose up gradually from the chair. However, he looked at her carefully with a piercing glare like an icicle that injured her severely. Thereafter, he walked up the stairs in quick paces without peeking back once. Didn't he mention that he wasn't angry? Lisa sat there feeling like she had just been ruffled by the wind. Chapter 35. James, my leg hurts. The doctor soon came to alter Lisa's medicine. When he was done, she was advised to relax deeper. But when she entered the room, she saw no indication of James. She hurriedly pulled aside a maid and inquired, "Is Sir busy?" The maid said, "Madam, Sir has been in the study room all along. He didn't come out at all." Lisa hesitated for a minute before wheeling herself to the study room. "James?" She knocked on the door and said, "James, what's up with you? Are you angry?" However, there was no movement inside. Lisa answered, "Didn't I say that it won't happen again in the future? Also, it really wasn't something I instigated. I'm also rather baffled as to how things developed like way. What else do you want me to do?" Right at this moment, the door opened swiftly. James glanced at her with a stern glare. "Who told you that I was angry?" This..." But with a swish, the door was shut again. Lisa was once again walled off outside the door. "Flabbergasted," she said. And still, he said he wasn't angry. He honestly spoke one thing but meant another. Left with little alternative, she pulled her wheelchair outside only to see someone walking in from the outside. It was a man who looked to be in his 30s, clothed in a blue suit from head to toe. She had never met him, so her bewilderment showed on her face. When the man observed her, he immediately grinned and walked over to her. "Madam, we finally meet. Nice to meet you," Lisa blanked out. She pointed at herself and said, "You know me?" His eyes crinkled as he smiled. He looked quite reliable and quite friendly. "Madam, I'm Mr. James's doctor. My name is Dr. Chen. You can call me Dr. Chen. You must have heard about me from Mr. James." "He never mentioned," Lisa said. Dr. Chen continued to smile with his eyes crinkled. He said, "All right, heh. Mr. James is just that kind of person. He's gruff in his speech, yet gentle in his heart. In his heart, I honestly carry some weight too." Lisa did not recognize this at all. She gazed at Dr. Chen with a subtle sadness and muttered consolingly, "Yes, James has a personality that's weirder than normal. But it's fine after you get used to it." Dr. Chen was still smiling with his eyes crinkled. He looked to be a very lovely and sunny man. "I've heard of you very early on. It's a fantastic honor to be able to meet you today." "Hey, that's right. What happened to Mr. James? Why are you outside?" At a loss for words, Lisa said, "He's not. He seems to be angry." "Oh? So that's what's occurring. What happened exactly? Can you tell me first?" Lisa was still slightly apprehensive. As if he had sensed her concern, Dr. Chen said, "Relax, madam. I'm aware of everything concerning Mr. James. As you know, he has been ill for many years. I've been constantly following up on and studying his symptoms. So if anything happens, Mr. James will normally tell me everything, no matter how big or petty the topic. Since he knew of James's ailment, he was obviously a somebody that James was close to and trusted. Thus, Lisa notified him about the problem. When he was done hearing, Dr. Chen wanted to burst out in laughter. He raised his eyes and seemed to have thought of something. Lisa said as she was upset, "What do you think? What should I do now? I'm wondering whether he is so furious because he regrets marrying me. If it were Emily, there definitely wouldn't be so many worrying problems. If Emily was coupled with him, it would undoubtedly be great. It would be really quiet and there wouldn't be any violence bursting out of nowhere. In comparison, he must be missing Emily more right now. So when he looks at me, he must be thinking why he married a troublemaker like me." Dr. Chen burst out laughing and said, "This is what you told him?" Lisa glanced at Dr. Chen. What should I have said otherwise? Dr. Chen shook his head speechlessly. I think it's normal for him to be angry, Lisa said gloomily. If he's angry, how do you usually calm him down? Dr. Chen stated, with regard to this, the only people who usually make him angry are his employees. As far as I'm aware, he should be mollified as long as he fires them. Fire her? Wouldn't that mean a divorce? But I reckon we shouldn't be able to get a divorce for the time being, Lisa said. However, this matter does indeed cause him excessive inconvenience. He has to explain to his family members, and furthermore, the other person in the controversy is his brother. But I can't conceive of any other way either. I answered that I would explain to them instead that it absolutely wouldn't impact him, and that I also wouldn't let the family find that our marriage was contractual. What else can I do about all other matters? Dr. Chen gazed at her hopelessly. You said this to him earlier? Yes, I was also this sincere when I told him earlier. Dr. Chen stared at her with the expression of someone shouldering an arduous responsibility. I think that he was already being pretty good to you by not strangling you to death. How could it be so serious? Dr. Chen said, Madam, you can continue staying here and thinking of alternative methods. I'll walk over and take a peek at how your hubby is doing. Oh. Lisa glanced blankly as he went in. After God knows how long, Lisa had already woken up from a snooze, but James had still not returned for sleep. Slightly concerned, Lisa got up and wriggled herself into the wheelchair. She came before the study room once again. She knocked on the door and said, James, are you inside? James made no sound. Lisa thought gloomily for a minute. She elevated her leg and glanced at it. An idea occurred to her head. James, my leg hurts. Where's the doctor? In a moment, the door opened noisily. James's eyes were focused and his brow was partly covered. His eyes were as frigid as ice, which made him look extremely terrifying. But when he gazed at Lisa, he studied her for a time before asking, Your leg hurts? When Lisa recognized him, she hurriedly held on to her thigh. Yes, it suddenly hurts badly. I don't know what to do either. James promptly squatted down. He glanced at her. She was clothed in shorts with bandages concealing the injury on her thigh. It appeared like there was nothing wrong. He instantly reached out a hand and stroked her thigh. Does it hurt here? Yes, it hurts so badly. James raised his head. He seems to sense that something was incorrect. He squinted his eyes and murmured, It really hurts? Of course, could it be that you don't believe me? Lisa instantly put her acting skills to action. She furrowed her brow and bit her lip. Oh no, it really hurts to death. Of course, James could tell that she was exaggerating and acting. But when he glanced at the length of the incision, he honestly felt that at any rate, it was better to go to the hospital for a checkup. If it was really hurting, in his heart, he was not willing to let himself take that gamble. Thus, he promptly stood up and ordered, Wait here, I'll make some arrangements, we'll go to the hospital.